Hello, my name is Alexandria McKay. I currently work as an ISS facilitator in Pickens County and I'm completing my master's in secondary English education. My daily work allows me to meet students at a point where frustration, discipline issues, or personal challenges have already pulled them away from the classroom. Because I see these early signs so very often, I choose to focus on the school to prison pipeline. Today, I will explain what the pipeline is, why it matters, and how educators can work together to interrupt it. The school to prison pipeline refers to the pattern of practices that push certain students out of learning environments and into contact with the justice system. This topic matters to me because my ISS role constantly shows how discipline and disengagement can snowball if no one intervenes early. My research centers on three questions. The first question asks how school discipline policies contribute to the pipeline. The second explores how racial, social, and economic conditions determine which students face the greatest risk. The third looks at which interventions truly reduce the likelihood of students being redirected into the justice system. These questions guide both my research and my growing identity as a future English educator. The main problem is that discipline systems, structural inequity, and certain school policies increase the likelihood that specific groups of students will be removed from instruction and pushed toward the justice system. In my ISS classroom, I often meet students who have already spent hours or even days away from their regular teachers. Many of them are capable and very intelligent, but they are caught in cycles of frustration, miscommunication, or unmet needs. The gap between what schools intend to do and what students actually experience is one of the forces that shape the pipeline. That gap is what we must address. The first theme in the research focuses on the historical roots of the problem. Zero tolerance policies expanded rapidly in the 1990s and began applying harsh disciplinary actions to behaviors that had previously been handled through conversation or support. At the same time, more schools adopted policing approaches. This shift from a supportive model to a punitive one created the structure for what we now call the school to prison pipeline. When I compare this history to what I see in ISS, I recognize how deeply these policies still influence the ways students are disciplined today. The second theme is the consistent presence of racial and economic disparities. Research shows that Black students, Indigenous students, and students with disabilities receive the harsher and more frequent discipline, even when behavior is similar to that of their peers. Many of the students I work with in ISS come from backgrounds where challenges at home, limited resources, and community pressures already shape their school experiences. The literature helped me understand that these disparities are not random, they are patterns created by inequality, bias, and inconsistent expectations. The third theme focuses on exclusion and policing. Exclusionary discipline, including ISS suspensions and expulsions, removes students from instruction and interrupts learning. In ISS, I notice how quickly a student can fall behind academically after only a few days away from the classroom. Research shows that these forms of discipline do not correct behavior. Instead, they can increase disengagement. The presence of police in schools also increases the chances that minor conflicts are treated as criminal issues. This theme helped me reflect on how I can support students while still understanding the larger system they are navigating. The fourth theme focuses on consequences and possible solutions. Exclusion from instruction increases the risk of dropping out and reduces a student's sense of belonging. Many ISS students share how disconnected they feel from their classes, their teachers, or the school community. Research also highlights promising interventions such as restorative practices, culturally responsive teaching, and trauma informed care. These approaches do not ignore behavior. Instead, they focus on understanding root causes and helping students build a healthier relationship with their schools. Studying this topic helped me see discipline from a much broader perspective. Working in ISS gives me a close view to how early patterns of disengagement appear. Students often enter my classroom feeling misunderstood or already labeled. The research helped me understand how these early moments can shape a much larger path. As I prepare to become a secondary English teacher, I want to build a classroom that catches students before they disconnect. This issue matters because it affects who students believe they can become. It affects how teachers respond to behavior and how schools define success. The implications of this issue are serious. If schools continue to rely heavily on exclusionary discipline, the same group of students will continue to face negative outcomes. My ISS students tell me they feel like school is a place where mistakes define them. Without change, students may experience academic decline, increased frustration, or contact with the justice system. Communities and schools must work together to address these consequences. Research supports several strategies for improving outcomes. Schools should reduce exclusionary discipline and increase access to counseling and mental health supports. Teachers should receive training in culturally responsive practices and trauma informed approaches. In my ISS classroom, the moments where students open up and talk through their experiences often lead to better behavior than the disciplinary consequences itself. This shows the power of relationships. When students feel understood, they are more willing to re engage with learning. And that's the goal. So, what I could gather from this, the school to prison pipeline is not automatic or unavoidable. It is the result of policies, beliefs, and practices that can be changed. As educators, we can create classrooms that support students instead of pushing them out. My IXS experience has shown me that students do not want to be disconnected. They want someone to see them, listen to them, and help them reset. With intentional work, schools can build environments that guide students toward success instead of punishment.